Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I've been charged with the task of giving you a snapshot of the challenges and some of the responses to the employment issue with disconnected youth. At Children's Village, we run several community-based service programs, one being at the Educational Employment Center, which is located in downtown Yonkers. And we have what's called a drop-in center. And in the drop-in center, we have a lot of youth who are some connected with foster care, some who have never been in foster care but have the same challenges. And they all fall into this realm, this definition of disconnected youth. And they come in trying to get employment. So some of the needs that we have found, one being that most of the youth do not have any employable skill sets. And a lot of us may have known, if you grew up in the household that I have, which was to have chores when we were younger. And that is like the beginning, the base, when you start to learn how to work for some form of monetary, sometimes monetary, may not be monetary, but some type of money that you would get in response. But that seems not to be the case in this time. We have seen many youth come into our doors that have no idea how you need to be when you are working, or how it is to be in an environment where work is expected. So skill set is something that we really try to work with the youth on. Another need is that, of course, what was spoken by Andrew, a lack of educational skills. A lot of them do not, and most of them, because they fall into the realms of being disconnected youth, do not have any education. And their skill set is so low that they don't even know how to write. Some of them don't even know how to read. So it's really hard to find an employable sector that's going to be able to handle them or employ them so that they will be able to have a living and make a living. And then after that, we also find out that a lot of them never had the ability to work in any setting. So they're coming in there with a blank slate. And we have our computer lab in the back of our office, and we would go there and we'll have them work on a resume. And the resume starts off with their education, which is very little. You know, they haven't finished high school. And then we go into volunteer, because many youth at the age, between the ages of 16 and 24 haven't worked too many. So we try to just give them something that they volunteered or be a part of, that we can build their resume. And that has been a major challenge. They have not been involved with any type of clubs. They have not volunteered. They have not even done, like I said before, the chores in their home or from a neighbor, you know, mow their lawn. Nothing that we could put onto the resume. So one of the things that they need is the opportunity to work, and that means having us have a connection with the private sector, even the public sector, to try to get them in a job. And in a lot of the funding streams, like one of them being the WIA, Workforce Investment Act, being able to pay them while they work at organization. And they will get to have some type of employable skills, get some type of experience that can be put on a resume so that they will be able to get a job in the future. The other thing that we see is very important is that they have what's called a job coach. Somebody that's going to be able to walk them through what the process is. So we do have our job readiness, and most organizations have their job readiness programs and classes. But you need somebody that's going to be able to go with them. And when they don't show up on time in that second week, or they decide after that first paycheck that they're not going to come back because they're going to spend that money, you need someone that's going to be able to go to that employer and say, listen, give them another chance. They are starting out. This is their first job, and we want you to work with them. So that job coach is very important to be able to help that individual understand their mistakes and be able to help the employment sector to have more empathy for the challenges that the youth have gone through. The other thing that we also do is talk to the employers to let them know that you are going to get a child or an individual, a youth that has had many challenges in the past. So you are not going to get the polished, the youth that has had the quote-unquote good upbringing, the one that has had that type of experience and understands that you're not supposed to walk in with your pants on, hanging off your butt. You're supposed to actually, you have to actually talk to the employees and let them know that, listen, you're going to have challenges. We've had some where an individual has gone in and decided to help themselves to the cash register and decided to walk out with that. And we were able to absolutely talk to the employer to allow them to give them another chance. After, of course, talking to the youth and letting them know that that was illegal and you could go to jail. All right? So, 5 minutes, so let's move on. The next thing that I had to do was really focus on what works for the disconnected youth. One thing that we see that works is that one-on-one attention. Most of the youth that fall into that realm have never had that one-on-one connection or one-on-one attention. What I will say is that, disconnected youth, although we're talking about the ones that aren't employed and aren't in school, but some of them are disconnected from their own families. They don't have anybody that's going to encourage them to go to get a job or sit down with them and work on a resume or just listen to them. So it's really important that they have someone that's going to take that time out and sit down with them and give them that one-on-one. And sometimes not even talk about employment at all. Talk about the other issues that are going on in their life. And believe me, there's a lot of issues. The other thing that we find out is encouragement is big. They need to hear that they can do it. Sometimes we are the first people to say that you can make it. With all the obstacles that you have been through and what you're going through right now, you still can be successful. That goes a long way because that gives them the courage to go before an employer who sometimes and most of the time does not look like them and be able to perform. These are some bright individuals. I'm telling you, they're in our computer lab and they're getting past every firewall we put up. And I'm telling you, they're good. So they have skill sets. We just have to tap into it. The other thing that we recognize that needs to be done is to have like short goals. Goals that they can attain, that they can see some type of, get some type of feedback and see that they have attained something. So we would give them incentives, most of the time for even going through the job readiness program, which is sometimes a week long. That's too long for them. So you have to give them an incentive after 2 days and say, listen, you have done the first portion of the job readiness program. There's no first portion, but we broke it up so that they think that there is a first portion. And that helps them come back that third day. So when they are able to see that there is a sense of accomplishment in what they're doing, that goes a long way. Of course, resources. Many of the youth do not have resources at all. They don't have a mother or father or uncle to go back to get a Metro card to get to the interview. So what do? We try to give them the Metro card. Something that's going to help them to get there on time. Remind them. Call them in the morning. Remember, you have a job interview. It's going to be at 2 o'clock. Where are you now? We try to always let them know the best way to get into an employer's good side, get on their good side. Talk to them about the organization. Do some research. We talk to them like a parent would. And a lot of times that goes a long ways because they're like, wow, that's going to work. And when they are successful, they come back and they let us know about it. And they're all smiles. We recognize that about 50% of the youth that come into the EEC and the drop-in center have nobody else. And sometimes they have a little child to take care of as well. So one of the things that we have to do, we have to provide food for them. It's very important that when we have snacks and a little bit of food and water, when they walk in, they know that, okay, I'm not going to be hungry and trying to sit through a job readiness program. Or listen to you talk to me about a resume, or what I should have done, and what I didn't do at the interview. So we try to make it a real open environment, an environment that they're going to feel comfortable at, and they will be able to get their food needs met. And lastly, I think, which is probably the most important, 2 things that I would say, is to be able to listen to them, to hear their challenges. Most of us in this room, some of us probably have been in that situation, but most of us haven't. We don't have any idea what they're going through or what they've been through. So to hear them out goes a long way. And they can say, okay, someone is being empathetic to me. They can understand my challenges. They can understand the obstacles that I'm facing. So sometimes just listening, hearing them out, and then never being judgmental. Being so non-judgmental to them goes a long way, because they're going to tell you some stuff that you sometimes don't want to hear. Sometimes they will tell you that they just robbed somebody, or there was a shootout yesterday, and I was a part of it. And then they said, okay, what's going on with the job readiness program? We're supposed to teach after hearing that. Some of them have not had any food to be able to give to their daughters or their sons. So it's very important that sometimes sitting there and not having any judgmental expressions come up on your face when they're telling you these difficult situations goes a long way, because then you build that trust with them. And then you're able to have that dialogue, and then you're able to move them to the point where they can get jobs and be productive. Okay, 5 minutes up.